Let's turn to the papers real quick, everyone. But before that, Anthony Mamadou, our senior anchor here, is joining us to just take a look at not just the headlines, but again, the Super Eagles at the AFCON. Anthony, good morning. Thank you for joining on the program.
Good morning. You just made me happy when you called the Super Eagles.
Right. Yes. So somebody said, well, thing is that these guys, they are doing well overall, but they've not been having what he called clinical goals. That could pose a challenge for them within the round of 16. Do you share that opinion?
You just say clinical goals tells me you don't love football that much.
I don't.
Okay, well, what he's trying to say is they're not being clinical, as in they lose a lot of, you've got 5 chances, you lose 3 and score maybe 1, and so that means they're not being clinical, because when you're clinical, it means you take every chance you've got.
You maximize it.
Maximize it. I think that he's spot on with that analysis, because if you look at the number of goals they've scored, just one goal each, and even the last one was a help from Guinea-Bissau player who scored an own goal, so it means they've actually not been clinical. It's very worrisome because we have African Footballer of the Year in person of Victor Osimhen.
As part of the team.
As part of the team. And he won that because he kept banging in goals in Serie A, talking about the Italian league. And the Italian league is one of the hardest leagues you can play for. And for you to be the top scorer there, and you come to the African Cup of Nations, and you can barely score just 1 goal in 3 matches, that's very poor return for a top striker like him, who needs to move to a very big team in Europe. And so then another big question is, if Osimhen is not scoring, does it mean the other strikers are also left their scoring boots back in their clubs in Europe? So it's very worrisome, because we're moving to a stage where the knockout stage is where once you don't win, you get knocked out.
Yeah.
It's either you're in or out, not like the group stages where you have the chance to play 1-2 games before.
And then you do an aggregation.
Aggregation too. So now it means if the Eagles can't start scoring now, we're likely to be out, because what it means, if you don't score, is either a draw, then you go to penalties. And when it gets to penalties, it's anybody's game. You cannot count on penalties, so you have to win within 90 minutes of action. So the Eagles need to up their game. They need to be very clinical. They need to take their chances, aside creating chances. Initially, we had the issue of them not creating chances, but now they create the chances, but they're not taking the chances. In football, when you create chances, you don't take them, you must pay for them. It's the rule. Once you don't take your chances, your opponent is going to get that chance, and they're going to hit you hard.
Interesting. You just talked about Osimhen and all of the records he had created himself, I mean, within the Italian league, I mean, courtesy of Napoli. Then you find the other guys too, who already, for whatever it's worth, also have made their mark one way or another. But they get back home to Africa, whether it's Nigeria or whatever it is, it's as if there's something that demotivates them, something that incentivizes them. What would those factors be?
I think the pitch, the condition of play is a very
different.
Because, for example, you look at Inaki Williams of Ghana, the Black Stars got eliminated from the African Cup of Nations. He flies back to Spain on Wednesday. That's last night, 2 days back. He scored the goal that beat Barcelona out of the Spanish Cup final. So he scores, his brother scores, but they were in the Ghanaian national team. They couldn't find the goals. In fact, he was brought in as a substitute. So it tells you there's something also wrong with coaches when they make their selection. Because if in the national team you use him as a substitute, but in the Spanish league, which is the top league, he's scoring goals. He just came from African Cup. He walked straight into the first team, and he's even scoring goals. So it tells you also the way the coaches use the players is another factor.
Can be a factor, right?
Yeah. So like for the Nigerian team, probably the coach has not found yet a perfect way to blend Osimhen and others, because once you don't put them in their right position, you can't get the very best out of them.
Is there an issue, like we're often seen with situations like this, that this team did not get together early enough to practice and get to acclimatize and know themselves?
These are we're talking about professionals now. We're talking about the national teams, the Super Eagles. If it were the Flying Eagles, the Golden Eagles,
it's a different ballgame.
Yeah, you can say, okay, these kids, they need to blend, but these are professionals. This is what they do week in, week out. We expect that they've played together during the qualifying series of the African Nations Cup, during the World Cup series that's going on. They've been playing together, so technically they know themselves, they're bonding. If there's anyone that had issues, is a coach who is trying to get to know his players, his first 11, and the different formations he can play. So for the players, even if the coach is not getting it right, these guys are Nigerians. They should have that extra zeal to deliver the goods, knowing fully well that 200 million Nigerians are watching. Their market value depends on what they do at the Cup of Nations. Because for someone like Osimhen, if he does very well, it means a team like Barcelona or Real Madrid might begin to want to go for him. Right now, we only have Chelsea, Arsenal in the English League
who are
bidding for him. But if he does better, his market value is going to shoot up. Even for the coach, he was given a contract weeks before the Cup of Nations by the Nigerian Football Federation. He refused to sign. He said he wanted to wait till African Cup of Nations ends. He's been tactical because he knows if he wins the Cup of Nations,
he becomes more valuable.
And
he gets a bigger deal outside of here.
A bigger European team might even want him, so he doesn't want to sell himself short. So the players have the opportunity to also stake for something bigger. And so that's why they have to deliver the goods. And the usage of these players count a lot. And African football definitely is tougher than European football. We've seen a lot of shocks in the Cup of Nations. Small teams like Namibia beating big teams like Tunisia, which is not normal. Ghana, losing out of the Nations Cup is a very big miss. Algeria, who we won in 2021, is also out. Cote d'Ivoire got hammered 4-0 by Equatorial Guinea, and they are the host nation. It's very unusual. So.
Right. Thank you, Anthony, for that analysis there. But let's turn to the papers for you, everyone. We're beginning with the Business Day newspaper this morning. All right, Business Day is our first port of call, and we're starting with the big story on the front page of it. It says, high potential sectors missing in Nigeria's growth story. High potential sectors missing in Nigeria's growth story. That's according to the NASG, Nigerian Economic Summit Group. CBN governor says Naira undervalued, targets genuine price discovery, predicts lower inflation, stable Naira in 2024. Well, we're in 2024 already, practically. Foreign investors' patience with Cardoso wears thin as reforms stall. Tax waivers yet to curb runaway drug prices. Tax waivers yet to curb runaway drug prices. What's more, NGX, let's see that for you, what it says about NGX here. Okay, there you have it. It says NGX sees 2023 stock trades up 54%. States building demolition spree, rankles trusts in property titles. That's very crucial. It says very crucial. All right, but let's turn to the Punch newspaper quickly. We begin from stories above the nameplates of the Punch newspaper this morning. All right, PDP LP ask questions on Tinubu's France private visits. Anthony, I'm sure you must have seen the story yesterday about President Tinubu paying a private visit once again to the capital of France, Paris. This is not the first. So.
Yeah, this is the third since he resumed office. The fact that the reason why he left wasn't stated
disclosed
made it very, very
But then his private is private. Should that be a problem?
But yes, he's not a private citizen anymore. He's #1 citizen of Nigeria, Africa's biggest economy. We deserve to know why or where he's going to, because he's using taxpayers' money to fly those airplanes. It's going to be parked in the hangar, so for the number of hours or days it's going to be in the hangar, it's going to be paid by Nigerian funds. So we deserve to know. And if you listen to Ajuri, who is this?
Ngelale.
Yeah, he's very quick to give details whenever he gives press conferences or say things about the presidency. So for him to be quiet as regards to where the president is going specifically tells us a lot of things is amiss. It was deliberate, and I think that's very unfair. It shows that we expected more from him. This was the same thing we suffered in Muhammadu Buhari's tenure, where the national carrier takes him to the UK for several weeks, and taxpayers' money are being squandered, and we're not told specifically why it's being done and what it's done for. And I think it's very unfair. We expected Tinubu to do differently, act differently. For someone who preaches a lot of moral standards, telling Nigerians to change their mindset from money. When Khan visited him, and you wonder, this man suddenly is telling Nigerians to change their mindset, not loving money. But this is someone who we're told had brilliant vans in his compound during the elections. There were many talks about
that was in the 2019 election.
2019. So if you, I think it's very, very unfair for his administration to start acting this way. Because if it's private, if you're going for holidays, say you're going for holidays, and we know, yes, our president is going for, if anything happens to him in France, God forbid he dies or he gets killed or sniped or what, who's going to feel the brunt? Nigerians. So I think we deserve to know what he's doing in France. Why is he going to France so often? Is it a health challenge? If it is, then what is it?
All right, so let's take a look at other stories. FIRS projects 19 trillion naira revenue in 2024. Budget for the year is, the fiscal year is about 26 trillion. Okay, CBN fan relocation. Presidency orders tackle Ndume. You can read that story on page 20 of today's the Punch newspaper. You know Ndume, Senator Ali Ndume, long-standing, long-serving senator, was shooting from all cylinders on television the other night, and he was talking about how that there will be repercussions on account of
I think I'm disappointed. For a long time, I've always respected him. He had this figure as the only northern leader who was always objective whenever
maybe speaking truth to power in some cases.
Yeah. Most times he did, especially when he had to do with the Boko Haram and how the Nigerian army wasn't being sincere in their fight and all that. But for the first time, he's saying things that made me feel like he was a little boy. How come he's telling us about the boys in Lagos boys. The Lagos boys? That was derogatory, and I felt it showed how myopic and how there's this sentiment about region when it comes to these northern leaders. Just because it's going to Lagos is now something bad. If it was taken to Maiduguri, would he be saying that? Obviously, he won't be saying that. So it just shows you that whenever it has to do with national, the way they've led us for so many years has been based on sentiment and not for national interest. Because if that was moved to Maiduguri, he won't be saying that. So what he's trying to tell us, for every action of Muhammadu Buhari and other northern leaders, they did it out of sentiment and not because of national interest. Why can't he see the movement to Lagos as something that was beneficial to the authority, first of all, then to the government? Because if the present government feels this is the best way to go, that will achieve maximum efficiency from this parastatal, then so be it.
All right, so be it. But then we have a big story on the front page of the Punch for you this morning. It says, Forex scandal, EFCC probes $347 billion funds, summons foreign firms, with two riders there. Industrial companies, banks get lion's share under Emefiele. Social services receive a least Forex allocation. Anti-corruption agency deepens Forex scandal probe. Detectives may grill 5 foreign companies next week, right? 4 billion naira thefts. EFCC lines up 15 witnesses against Obiano. We understand that he had been granted bail yesterday. Feni Ferre demands state police scraps Adebanjo's leadership style. Turns out that has been a long time coming, actually. 10 Ibadan explosion victims still missing. President's, association, Residents Association is the one to whom that headline is credited. Let's see the last headline for you. Ondo Assembly screens new deputy governor as Ayedatiwa sacks cabinet. Of course, that's Ondo politics.
Yeah,
now the governor has picked a deputy and will be screened by the House of Assembly.
I think that move, he after sacking the cabinet, he now picks Adelami barely 6 hours after that sacking. So he gives us a clear idea of he's now trying to form his new cabinet. Obviously,
because those other boys may not be loyal to him.
Obviously, he knows he must have heard a lot of things before, during the crisis, and after the crisis. And I think he's been very strategic by always playing that loyal card to Rotimi Akeredolu, even in death, always making comments to suggest that he's still loyal to his his master,
his
principal. And also, it's very important because he gives the family of the late governor that sense of, okay, the government is still with us.
The governor is in our corner.
But the fact that the sudden sack of the whole cabinet, not retaining even one person, speaks volume. It tells you that he wants a clean slate. And picking a former national deputy clerk also tells you that he wants someone who has connection with the Abuja side of event, and someone who has some bit of experience that he can trust to a good extent. So we'll be seeing how he's going to make his pick. But obviously, we expect to see a lot of fresh people in politics in Ondo. And even if he's going to pick those old horses, it's going to be people that he knows has got his back, who were there for him at that time when he was facing crisis. But he should also expect a lot of maligning coming his way. Already we saw him, some group coming up to say he has forged documents and all that. So I think these things will prepare him better for the Ondo elections coming.
Yes,
for.
just around the corner.
He has an eye for that. That's why he made those sweeping changes. So it's going to be good to see how his party and the opposition, tackle him.
Excellent. Let's take a look at the Vanguard now, everyone. The Vanguard, big story on the front page of it. Now we're going back to Plateau. Says gunmen defy curfew, killed over 30. Raise houses with 2 riders. First one reads, group alleges compromise by security agencies. And the second says ending insecurity, our cardinal agenda. And that's Shetima. That story has details on page 9. You know, Anthony, you and I were talking about Plateau the other time. Now Mangu is under curfew. Lives have been taken there. And that has not even deterred these dead devil bandits.
I think yesterday on the midday discourse, we spoke with the former Speaker of the House of Assembly in Plateau State, Imam South. He was blunt. He said the military conniving with these bandits to kill the Plateau people. That's how he put it, that the Mangu people are saying they are not comfortable with the military anymore. They prefer the mobile police, security outfits to protect them, that the military always seem to turn a blind eye when these people come in and commit these killings. And he also made mention of the fact that there's certain communities in Mangu where they have this mining of natural resources, where the military allowed these bandits to come kill the people, chase them out of the land, and start mining. And he was specific. He talked about the Fulanis, that it's no longer a secret that the Fulanis are those perpetrating this. But when they sack these people from these communities, they begin the mining activity, and
they took over the sites.
Yes, but the funny thing is that the military does not come back to that place to chase those people out. That it looks like these people pay royalty to the military. So that's the accusation on the ground. And he said that was why the governor paid the first visit to the president to tell him this is what is happening. That they are planning a second visit to the president to push for the removal of the Nigerian army from Plateau State. That it's obvious there's a connivance to exterminate the people of Plateau. That this has been a long time coming. So now we know where the problem is, and so I think it's very sad that the Nigerian army is being accused of this, and the Nigerian army hasn't come out to debunk this. He made a statement about them giving excuses, saying the terrain this, terrain that, but that what happened recently, a few days back, was in the township, Mangu Township, and the Mangu Township has no terrain. So how come the military still couldn't come prevent the killings?
Our question is worth $1 billion. But let's see here on the front page of the Vanguard, still relief coming with more forex reduced inflation. That's according to the CBN and NESG. Bottom down, it says, Edo Governor Paul Ighodalo vows to tackle poverty. Others, Izeyamo Imuse, join race. Okay, let's turn to the right corner of the front page of the Vanguard. Money laundering charge. Obiano pleads not guilty, gets bail. No plan to move federal capital to Lagos. That's according to presidency. And then above the nameplates, Ayedatiwa picks deputy, sacks cabinet. Nasarawa airstrike. Victims still awaiting justice 1 year after. That's credited to Amnesty International. FG's revenue trapped in commercial banks. The Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission is there talking. So how do we go about on trapping these funds, all right? Roads, FG meets Elumelu, Dangote, others on PPP. Mainstream takes over $1.3 billion Zungeru Power Plant. All right, this is what we do, a flip now to the Tribune. All right, the Tribune is big as well. And then above the nameplates of the Tribune, a picture of the CBN governor, Olayemi Kadoso, right there on the front page of the Tribune. It says, Naira currency currently undervalued, CBN governor talking there on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. It has a rider that says, FG targeting 77% increase in IGR finance minister. And the other, still above the nameplates, Ayedatiwa names Adelami as Ondo deputy governor, sacks cabinet, appoints Oluwatuyi as new SSG. Makinde Adeleke, other PDP Southwest stakeholders meet in Ibadan today, may ratify Ajishafe as replacement for Adanu Godo. Edo Guba, aspirants snub Oshomole, pick nomination forms. He doesn't own party, Ize. Of course, there was going to be that fight always.
I think
Edo State's governorship election.
Yes, I think Oshomole is in the bad books of almost everybody. They feel like he cajoled them into that advisory committee that was set up to technically screen the aspirants. Then somewhere along the line, he backed out. One of the stakeholders, they said, they asked him specifically, does he have a specific candidate in mind, a preferred candidate? So there was no need of them.
Was responsible to that.
He said no, that he just wanted them to do this as a way of to streamline things, but that after the exercise, probably who he wanted didn't emerge, so he backtracked, and so everything became chaos. And that was when he went to the media. Media carried it that the APC had, dropped some people, and
at the point they had even cut to four.
Yeah, so,
later we heard 6.
So I think that controversy made them feel like he tried to swing with hope them into doing something that was going to backfire. So I think Osomole is gradually losing that respect, that command and influence he used to have.
The clouds.
Yes. So I think let's see how it's going to pan out. If his candidate doesn't win, then he's going to be in trouble.
Who do you suspect his candidates could be?
I think Oshomole is right now indecisive of who he will be.
Because the dynamics are probably not aligning with his earlier postulation.
Yeah, so he's scared to come out full blast to say, I'm backing this person. So I think the Edo people, this is a chance for them to actually choose who they really want to.
But can Edo people do that as long as it has to do with primary election?
When talking with the spokesperson of Pastor Sage Isaiah Yamo as a spokesperson, obviously there's this belief that INEC and the government in power have a way of influencing who emerges. So, and we know that Obaseki seems to have his own preferred candidate. So it's going to be a very tricky one. Because Obaseki, in some quarters in Edo State, doesn't have the full backing of the Edo people. So I think it's all set out to be a grand finale. I think the best man is likely to win, best man who lobbies more, who is able to convince the people and probably pray hard that INEC plays a very clean slate. Then probably they might just nick it. Okay,
let's leave that in the realm of speculation. Okay, but then we have a story here, the big one, on the front page of the Tribune. Gunmen defy curfew, kill 25 in Plateau local government. Several houses, markets burnt. Quite a sad development. Aftermath of Supreme Court judgment, fears mounts over Lagos waterways assets. Only 43% of 6,000 schools in Nigeria meet minimum safety standard. That's according to UNICEF. You can read details of the story on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune today. FG will review concession agreement for 43.2 billion naira Ibadan dry port. Others. Ibadan explosion. Number of fatalities still unknown. Persons still unaccounted for. Residents Association. No plan to relocate federal capital from Abuja presidency. The writer says Okukwe blasts Ndume over comments on relocation of CBN fan offices to Lagos. Kogi senator says Ndume spoke for himself.
I think this is exactly what Onanuga was saying, that those who are propagating this this rumor are trying to pitch the North
against the South.
And that's what we are seeing already happening. Those from the South feel like it's the Northerners are beginning to feel like Nigeria belongs to them, so everything should be done to favor them. And I think it's a very sad commentary that people who are supposed to be our leaders think from that archaic point of view, and not necessarily whether it's for the good of the country, wherever the president decides to move these parastatals.
Okay, so let's also move on our end. Now we're moving to the Guardian newspaper. Guardian says on the front page of it, that's the star headline there, 1999 constitutions wear and tear, endless reviews, amendments, costs National Assembly 1 billion naira yearly. That's on page 6, and as always, the Guardian has beautifully laid out infographics on the front page of it. Okay, that gives insight into the big story in today's issue. Time to revamp Nigeria's criminal justice system. Abubakar Shetima profiles solutions to insecurity. CBN targets 21.4% inflation, says Naira is undervalued. That's some sincerity coming through. But while 21.4% is being targeted for inflation by the CBN, we understand we are doing 30% as it stands right now. That's an all-time high for us as a country, and it's nothing to be excited about. And obviously the CBN knows better. Afenifere sacks Adebanjo as acting leader, abrogates deputy leader position. 30 people killed in Plateau amid curfew imposed on Mangu local government. Special economic zones attract over $66 billion FDIs, 620 billion naira domestic investments. Ayedatiwa gears up for Guba race, nominates Akeredolu's Kingsman as deputy. So that was strategic. He had to go back to his former principal's place, right? So that was him trying to maybe strike some equilibrium, who knows?
And obviously get the backing of those who hitherto felt he wasn't loyal to
their son.
And those who also said after his death that he had a hand in his death, and probably also make the family of the late governor happy and feel like, okay, he's still going to have their backings, all three. But at the same time, I think for the sake of democracy, we should try and get away from that attitude, because what it means is like even in death, he's still a godfather figure. Talking about Akeredolu, he should have picked based on who was more competent, and not based on the Kingsman coming from Rotimi Akeredolu's clan. But that's Nigerian politics. Let's see if that's going to favor him at the end of the day. We are yet to hear anything from the APC or any of the political parties, because technically they have a say. If he had done wide consultations and the party was in line with him picking from that side of the divide, then he's on the right track. But if the party had chosen someone different, then he's likely to hit a brick wall when the D-Day comes.
Can imagine. Ondo Governor picks ex, that's on Daily Trust now, all right? Same story is replicated on Daily Trust this morning. Ondo Governor picks ex-NAS clerk as deputy, dissolves Akeredolu's cabinet. Shetima, Sultan, Abdusalami, others profile solutions to insecurity in the north. All right, Plateau crisis, pregnant woman gives birth in open. Children missing as death toll rises to 43, that's according to JNI. MDA, Christian Muslim leaders point fingers at security agents. We are working hard to restore peace. Plateau government, right? That's how sad it gets right now in the Plateau. Governor Mofwang obviously has so much of work on his hands right now. Let's turn to our last paper, everyone. The Nation newspaper is what it is. All right, we're looking at it from the stories that are above the nameplates on the Nation's newspaper. Afenifere scraps Adebanjo's acting leader position. No plan to move federal capital back to Lagos, says presidency. Ayedatiwa picks deputy governor, sacks ESCO, government house, chapel row, Obaseki slams Shaibu. FIRS gets 19.4 trillion naira revenue target. What's more, 4 billion naira fraud charge called Baz Obiano from traveling out of Abuja. CBN battling to restore naira to its real value, says Cardoso. Currency undervalued, refineries takeoff will crash petrol prices. Again, all eyes are looking at the Dangote refinery, Anthony. Yes.
Well, a lot. I'm even scared the burden or the expectations on that refinery is getting really large. I hope it will be up and running. But we know for something new, there are going to be teething stages. So most likely we might not get that instant result like we expected to. But I think the good news is that it has started. So we'll make amends across. As we move on. One other story that caught my attention was the Shettima Abdulsalami
Profiling Solutions.
My question is, they've been in Nigeria. They were even there when Muhammadu Buhari was in power. How come they did not let him in on all these solutions, especially concerning the northern region and the country as a whole? For me, I feel they're just seeking relevance, and for whatever they say, doesn't really mean much, because they've been in the country, they had access to the presidency, and how come these solutions have not helped their immediate environment?
Great question. How to make North secure by leaders, ending insecurity, our goal, says Shettima Abdulsalami. Sultan Ogbe, governors suggest way out. All right. Then, of course, you can read all of those up for yourself today when you pick up a copy of the Nation newspaper. Incidentally, that's all for our program today, everyone. Thank you for watching. I'd like to say a big thank you to Anthony as well for coming to just have these thoughts, share his thoughts on the program today. Remember that the views of our guests on all of our programs are their opinions, and we do respect those opinions, and they are not the opinions of Global Television. I'm Uyag Mofwebe. Thank you very especially for watching. We'll see you again. Welcome to Global Morning. You know, they are lucky soon.